Good morning. Today I would like to introduce the SSbD framework for students. SSbD stands for Safe and Sustainable by Design. The title for today is Do It Safe, Do It Sustainable, but by Design, please. I would like to start from the history of the safety or toxicology, if we prefer. Probably all of you will remember the case of DDT, a fantastic insecticide of the last century, uh, but that many years later it has been recognized as a persistent and endocrine disruptive chemicals. And so a fantastic molecules for uh, chemistries, for producer, for companies, for with a lot of application, with a lot of results for fighting against malaria, for example, or other pests. But then, after many, many years, a lot of environmental issues and health issues for humans also have been, have been recognized. Similarly, the case of asbestos. Asbestos was again discovered as a fantastic material for fireproofing and a very resistant materials for many applications. And again, after many years, it has been recognized as a very potent lung carcinogenic material in the case, for example, of pleuric mesothelioma. And considering all that case, it is important to uh, underline that, fortunately, starting from the 70s, the United Nations uh, started thinking at the environmental and health consequences of the uh, new chemicals and materials, and in general for the sustainability of our life and not only our life on the planet. In 1987, the United Nations World Commission on Environment and Development defined for the first time the concept of a sustainable development as the meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. After this important document, also known as Brundtland Report from the president of that commission, uh, and the publishing of the Our Common Future, this important document at the time, the concept of sustainability, we are now calling it sustainability, became of a central importance in the uh, in the politics. And in 2015, the UN member states, in fact, adopted the 2030 Agenda for the Sustainable Development, defining the famous now 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, uh, it is now recognized that for working properly in for sustainable development and so for sustainability, three major pillars should be considered. Not only the environmental ones, but also the social and economic dimension of what we call today sustainability. So, to guarantee sustainable development, it is important that the environmental, social, and economic pillars work in parallel. Since the for the sustainability of our life on the planet, the as you understood from the example of DDT and asbestos, for example, the our uh, decision for the new chemicals, for the new materials we will put in commerce is very, very important. In 2020, the European Community launched the Chemical Strategy for Sustainability towards a toxic-free environment. This is a very important central document that allow in the next years for the introduction of our goal of today. So the safe and sustainable by design chemicals and materials document or framework published 2 years later by the Joint Research Center. In this moment, the safe and sustainable by design approach has been recognized as central for the development of new chemicals and materials. And now also the methodological and some case studies are reported again by JRC and by, in general, the scientific community. What is SSbD? Very in a very brief way, or in pills. The SSbD, um, considering our introduction in general on sustainability and on safety, SSbD should assess and optimize all the dimension of a new material, of a new chemical, of a new product, starting, of course, from its functionality, but considering all the pillars of the sustainability and the safety for environment and human. And so, in parallel to functionality, SSbD is considering the safety, the costs, and so the economical impact, the environmental impacts, the social impacts. All these dimensions should be included in an SSbD evaluation. And such assessments should be performed along the whole innovation process during the design and production of a new chemical, of a new material, through an iterative process of designing and redesigning according to the testing of the hazardous properties, the environmental release, the environmental impacts, the costs, the social dimensions, etc., etc. Just uh, for thinking a little bit concretely to this example, if you consider, for example, the production of nano antibacterial textiles, and considering all the life cycle stages of these new or not so new products, of course, for addressing all the issues of SSbD, you have to consider all the impacts and all the other dimensions considered in all the different life cycle stages. So, for example, during synthesis, when you synthesize the new nanoforms, when you incorporate in the fibers, natural or artificial fibers, polymer fibers, when you consider the use phase of your textiles and clothes, and also when you reuse or recycle or burn your end of life products, your end of life textiles. All these activities, of course, are or will generate data, and data. A lot of data that are generated from these activities or that are retrieved from the literature or other databases. And so people are working with a lot of data that pertains to the different um, moment of the testing, the activity of the SSbD. And so it is important that following rigorous DMA-DV approach, so it is important to define, measure, analyze, design, and finally validate. It is a multi-objective optimization, finally, the design of a new product. And this approach will make it possible. And at the end, by specifically developed toolbox and softwares, SSbD solution could be or will be validated. The final goal in this sense is to provide R&D labs, companies, uh, and uh, other agency with SSbD solution for the final decision-making process. But we are thinking to students. SSbD is a matter of study for students, or students are or will be for SSbD. As you understood from the uh, previous slides, the SSbD approach in general and the framework that is under development require good chemistries, physicists, material scientists, engineers, toxicologists, economists, sociologists, a lot of scientists. But the disciplinary skills in these fields and even the important collaboration or integration among these fields probably are not enough to guarantee the success of SSbD. Probably a new way of thinking and a new possibility to develop transdisciplinary scientific program and so a new culture is necessary to really allow technological innovation incorporating SSbD. So my hope is that contemporary and future students will grow up in parallel with SSbD, making this new framework and tools that are under development real instruments to build a better world and contributing to save the planet. Thank you.